Hello and welcome to the Well Mind Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Ben Kohls. This is a space for meaningful conversations on wellness with a special emphasis on mental health. I'm a clinical mental health counselor and counselor educator here at Bethany Lutheran College, and I'm excited to share this new season with you. If you listen to the trailer/intro episode that I dropped last week, you'll know that I am releasing a series of conversations with the faculty that are currently teaching in our mental health program. I think they bring a tremendous diversity of experience as well as areas of expertise that are going to be tremendously valuable for you as a listener. Plus, they're going to offer some inspiration and motivation for you in your own life. I'm excited to share this first episode because it's with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Karina Clennon. Now, Karina has been on the podcast before. We had a wonderful conversation on the topic of vocation. If you haven't listened to that episode, check it out. I've linked it in the show notes for you to check into after you listen to this one. She was also on a panel discussion with me on topics related to wellness, and that one is also linked in the show notes for you to check out. My conversation with Karina today starts off by exploring a little bit of her own career trajectory and thinking through some formative experiences that she had in the context of some relationships. So formative that those experiences have been things that she's carried forward in an intentional way in her own career. So she really talks about the gift of time and presence within relationship and how she brings that into her teaching role as well as into her personal relationships as well. Now, we also discuss some of the challenges related to balancing the personal and professional roles in life. We chat some about the quote-unquote busyness culture that so many of us face today. And we cap things off with a little discussion on the significance of lifelong learning. I hope that this conversation is useful, meaningful, inspirational to you, and I am so happy to share it with you. So here is my conversation with Dr. Karina Clennon on the Well Mind. Welcome to the Well Mind Podcast. With me today, I have Dr. Karina Clennon, counselor educator in our Bethany Mental Health Counseling Program and good friend of mine. So it's great to have you back on the podcast, Karina. I think it was 2022, maybe, when we first sat down and recorded an episode together. And then I think it was last year that we also did that panel discussion. So This is your third time on the podcast. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, well, thank you. I'm happy to be here again with you.
Awesome. So really the focus of these conversations is twofold, is helping us get to know you a little bit better as a helper and kind of what has been your journey and your trajectory in the helping profession. And and then also just to be able to share some things about the topics that you're passionate and interested in as they relate to wellness. A lot of our previous conversations have revolved around vocation and career development. And I know these continue to be really relevant and essential topics for you. So before we dive into all of that, though, the thing that I'm asking all of my guests this season is what sparked your interest in becoming a professional helper, or what drew you to this field in the first place?
Yeah. The joy of having gone through a counseling master's program is that I've been prompted to reflect on this a number of times. And it's interesting that whenever I think I have the answer of like, oh, this is where it started, or that's what sparked it, I remember other things. And so I think it's, for me, I think of like breadcrumbs, like a trail of different things that prompted me, encouraged me to consider communication as a major and something that I was interested in. And I think about something as silly as um, a yearbook poll where I think I was uh, voted as like best listener
Oh,
or
sure.
counter to counseling, best advice giver.
Oh, okay.
um,
Yeah.
and as I think more towards like the concrete, like getting a master's degree and really developing in this professional role, it happened for me in college, in that I was struggling. I was just going through a season where I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't know where I wanted to go. And I sat down with um, the registrar at the time,
Okay.
and she just took the time to ask me questions
Mm.
and really help me identify, okay, well, maybe here's where you want to go in 5 years, which is where my brain tended to go, like leaping forwards 5 years from now, and
Yeah.
helped me identify some of those concrete steps. And it was really her taking that time and maybe going above and beyond what would be required of her role in helping me with identifying my course schedule. She
Yeah.
really did so much more than that.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
And I saw that as a real opportunity for me to help that demographic. So it sparked an interest in working with um, young adults, folks in kind of a academic career trajectory, and understanding that there's so much more than picking your classes
Yeah.
and picking a major. And there's so many other life things that are going on, and having someone that cared.
Mm.
Um, she was someone that ended every email and every interaction with a completely genuine God bless you.
Mm.
And it was such like a warm hug at the end of
Yeah.
every interaction. And just what a she just was a really important role model, I guess.
Mm.
um, and I have shared that with her. Um, and I think, like many of us helpers, it's not that she sloughed it off, but she put it back on me. Like,
Mm.
you were the one that did the work, and yes, I remember you, and like that's great that that
Yeah.
sparked you on this
Yeah.
path. But that's a just kind of a story and a memory that always comes to me when I think about like how did I get here,
Mm-hmm.
getting a master's and getting a doctorate and putting the work in.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, these are long-term processes to be able to walk through.
Mhm.
Just from like an educational standpoint, as you're talking about right now, that even as an undergrad, laying the foundation really for thinking about your your courses and your trajectory from a future oriented standpoint. You know, I think you're right. A lot of times it's what do I need to take, you know, to satisfy these requirements, or, you know, like what maybe just sounds interesting to me at this point. And those are all, you know, legitimate and useful, you know, rationale for selecting your courses and, or,
Mhm.
you know, picking a professional educational, you know, training or something. But there was something about the relationship that you experienced with that registrar that really stuck with you.
Mhm.
Um, and those are formative, those are formative experiences, you know, and stuck
Mhm.
with you all the way through to today, where you're still reflecting on that as this key moment in
Mhm.
that bigger story of your professional career.
Mhm. And when I think about that, I think about the biggest gift that she gave me was time,
Mm.
in kind of that sitting outside of the office and there's 5 other students and you're all there to get your schedule done, and there's kind of this like transactional process that can happen.
Yeah.
And when I got in the room, that is in no way what I felt. It was
Okay.
let's really make a help you feel like this isn't happening to you. Like these aren't like you have to take these courses. I'm also a liberal arts dream in that I loved everything and wanted to take all sorts of different classes. And so for me, it was like,
the bigger the range, the better.
Yes. Okay, Karina, like that's great that you want to take all of these classes and let's get you done. So yeah, that gift of time and attention and focus is something that is never lost on me. When really getting back to the basics and out of our heads with like, what is our purpose as helpers, and what are we giving? And it's really not the words coming out of our mouth. It's that gift of time and attention and genuineness.
Yeah. So these seem like qualities that you have taken with you and in many ways internalized. So how does that time piece that you experienced, how does that show up for you now as a professional?
Yeah. I think it's the thing that pulls me out of I need to get this done. This has to get done. Yes, it's important to prioritize and stick to those commitments, especially when other people are relying on you. And I trust my gut when somebody sends me an email or when somebody asks for a check in that's scheduled for 15 minutes that seems like it might need to go a little bit longer, and that I can get in my own head while that's happening of like, okay, well, this needs to happen and then this needs to happen, and then pulling myself out of it that, but what I'm doing is right here and right now. And those things will get done. And so it's like a curb and a reminder of like the gift that was given to me, and that's what's important. And of course, some days it's easier than not. And there are times when I need to close my door and turn on do not disturb and let that email sit for 48 hours before I return to it. But try not to get annoyed with the things that I set out to do in the first place, like not being annoyed by the question or someone wanting more time or maybe processing something that we've already processed or I thought we've already processed. That I don't know, just helps keep me grounded. I'm not sure if that totally answered, but that's where my head went.
No. I mean, I'm just thinking about your role within our counseling program. You have a high amount of face time with our students because of your role as our clinical experiences coordinator. And as you know, as we've worked together over the last many years, like that's been an essential part of your role within our program is supporting our students as they're going through really their first, helping experience in a professional setting. I think similar to you, a lot of them have been an informal helper to friends and family and things like that for a long time. But it's different when you're sitting in the room and you're wearing that hat of counselor. And so that's a really high stress time as well for students going through a master's program. And you're meeting with them every week. You know, you're doing that face-to-face group supervision with them. And so there's that presence and time that you are carving out, but I know it's not confined to that as well. And so in addition to that, of course, you're doing a lot of teaching, and those courses require that focus and time commitment, but it's it's a little different because you're not face to face outside of those practicum and internship classes. So
Sure.
it's yeah. I mean, I'm just hearing that it's something that you have to be cognizant of, but it is a big part of your role within our program is to
Mm-hmm.
have that face time with students at a really key point in their training.
Mm-hmm. And I think because career is the lens that I see so much through, it extends beyond that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's my stepdaughter texts me and needs something, and me sifting through, is this a want? Is this a need? Is this something for them to do on their own? Is this,
Sure.
do I need to pivot? Or, you know, doing my best to work from home on a blizzard day, and a 8-year-old comes in with a essential question about something Minecraft oriented.
Yeah.
I can't give you my full attention right now, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay that I can't do that.
Yeah.
And so wanting to show up not just as this like professional persona that like, because I'm being paid to do this, or this is my role, like these people get this from
Mm.
me, but
Mm.
not these people.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to discern, and I don't believe in balance. Like there is no balance, but trying
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
identify which direction I'm leaning, and do I need to focus a little bit more on nurturing those friendships and relationships and giving that time
Mm-hmm.
um, to other avenues of my life, because that's important too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And time, I've said this and I've heard others say it as well. Time is really our most valuable resource. It's a finite thing, and how we spend it, where we spend it, and who we spend it with is a critical part of our experience in this world. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that idea of balance really is not not often a realistic thing for us,
Yeah.
but being discerning is a word that I heard you use in how you're allocating that time,
Hmm.
um, and that changes based on season and need and those kind
Yeah.
of things.
Well, I think also importantly, like when I need that time from others, like
Mm,
as a helper, I get as much often when I'm giving. Like it's reciprocal that I enjoy doing it, and it fills
yeah,
me up in
yeah.
lots of different ways. And um, I also need to model that it's not just some people that
Mm,
need others. Like we all need it, and that I'm doing a disservice and modeling not just to students but to my kids of I can't just go go go. I need their time sometimes.
yeah.
Like they need to stop and focus and help me with something, or I need to prioritize a day or two when I can be filled up and encouraged by Christian friends and family. And as a helper, that is ironically something that I'll speak for myself, but I think it's fair to say a lot of us struggle with asking for help
Mm,
and
mm-hmm,
taking
mm-hmm,
time out of productivity. Like I could get this done and that would feel really good. And I'm probably going to pay for that later if
mm.
I don't take this opportunity that's presented to me to go have a bonfire with some
Oh, sure.
friends,
Yeah.
or take that time in between church and have a conversation with someone instead of rushing to quick trip to get the milk and
Mm,
the bread and the
mm-hmm.
eggs, like really uh, getting out of my own busyness and
Yeah.
taskiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I just think that applies widely. I think that's a human thing that most of us experience, and that there are a lot of things that we could allocate our time to that maybe are more automatic. It's like this, yeah, like these are the tasky things that have to get done, or these are the responsibilities I have in my role, whatever that might be, role within a home, role within a workplace environment or a church community or something like that. But um, what I'm hearing is like this intentional return on your part to focus on relationship, to focus on how your presence can be impactful for other people, and also appreciating and valuing how the presence of others can be impactful for you. And I
Yes.
think that's something that you know oftentimes can get lost in the that B word, the busyness.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear that all the time. I'm sure you do too. When just checking in with somebody, maybe it's an acquaintance, maybe it's even a friend, and how are
Mm-hmm.
things going? Oh, I'm just so right, B, so busy.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really describe what that experience is or how they're doing. And so usually it takes a second or a third prompt or question to move past that busy word and
Yeah.
into some more real conversations.
Yeah. That's something that I think becomes an unwritten rule when you're sitting weekly in supervision with 11 graduate students that are navigating multiple life roles and getting their clinical hours. And it becomes an unwritten rule that no one really says that they're busy
Mm,
because they're preaching to the choir.
sure. Yeah.
And none of these mantras are my own. They're all things that I've learned from other people. Sometimes I feel parental when I say them to students, and I follow that up with, I'm saying this out loud just as much to myself as I'm saying to you. So if it sounds like I have it all figured out, I needed to hear this today as much as you did. And one of those reframes for me is everybody has the same amount of time in the day.
Hmm.
And just that grounding of no one has more time. Like that is a myth. And if
Yeah.
someone looks like they're doing it better, ask them how they're doing it. Like
Hmm.
learn
Hmm.
from them. If they have a secret, like I want to know it. Or I didn't have time for that is I chose not to prioritize that.
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
I chose to do this over that because there is a pattern that I've noticed in my life where when I feel like things are happening to me,
Mm.
I can lose my motivation or I can lose my sense of purpose or I can spiral,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way of defining it or describing it. Um, so when I feel like I have some agency and I'm choosing to spend an hour and a half on this, and this is the best that I can do for today.
Yeah.
Maybe Karina 2 weeks from now could submit a much more polished version of this, but that's not who we're working with. Like
Mm.
we're
Hmm.
working with me right now.
Yeah.
Um, and we ground ourselves in uh, supervision. And when I say we, I guess this is very led by me. Like
Yeah.
yesterday, like, how are you doing today? Wednesday, March 5th
Hmm.
at
Hmm.
8:35 in the morning.
Yeah.
Like really getting down to the like not how are we doing, not
Globally. Yeah. But
right,
in
like
this moment, yeah.
what is that? Because that informs all of those other pieces that are going to happen that day.
Yeah.
And sometimes we don't feel well, and
Yeah.
that impacts what we do. And that's not an excuse, and it's not anything other than a fact.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, just thinking about that busyness culture, and I mean, I'm as guilty of it as anyone, but really trying not to play into that for myself.
Yeah.
In that prioritizing time, not expecting so much of myself that I'm in some way, how do I want to say this? When we expect so much of ourselves, it can come across as this sneaky arrogance
Mm.
that, like, I'm expected to do all of this, you're not.
Mm.
And it's not intended to be you couldn't or you're not capable of doing this, but like, why this prideful way of thinking of yourself that like you're supposed to achieve and you're supposed to do all of those
Mm.
things, where you wouldn't say that to your friend, or you
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say that to fill in the blank. So
But yet we find ourselves saying it to ourselves kind of as an internal process. And that can be, I mean, pretty punitive.
mhm,
And the reality is we rarely measure up to our standard if we're constantly looking to achieve.
right,
That's a kind of a relentless taskmaster.
yeah,
Yeah, and so I hear, you know, and this is what I've come to know from you. You know, the one of the most grace giving people, and so just offering that to yourself at times too um, is really an essential part of that process.
yeah,
And I think what you were saying earlier too applies to anybody, because that is a way of cutting through, if we want to call it busyness culture or something like that, of like actually pausing and let's just take some time. How are you right now? How are you today at this moment? And bringing that uh, focus and that intention into that conversation to really be with somebody and check in, and then also as a as appropriate, like share for yourself too, to
mhm,
be able to connect with somebody, that it's not just a one-way street, but that this is bidirectional and that we can be there to support one another.
mhm,
um, that seems universally helpful and
mhm,
appropriate for people.
mhm. I know it helps me. So
Yeah,
if it helps others,
yeah,
please and thank
yeah.
you.
So I'm wondering, it's a little bit of what we've talked about today is this long-term trajectory that started with that conversation with that registrar, or at least that maybe not started, but that was a real key moment
Mhm,
in that bigger narrative. And but rarely do we maintain and sustain our passion and our vitality for something simply based on one or two experiences. So over your career, what kinds of things have really continued to nourish and nurture your passion for this field and maintain vitality in it? And
yeah, I think it's akin to being a liberal arts nerd in that you're learning something new every single day.
yeah.
And I don't mean that to sound trite, but like you don't know what the day is going to hold when you're working with humans. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we are, some of us are creatures of habit, and there is that piece to it, but like we have life happening. And I enjoy working through the murky, and I'm
Mm.
okay when things aren't like always clean and perfect and in place. Not that I thrive off of that, but like I'm okay with that.
Sure.
Um, and I think so much of the first part of my career was helping others identify a career path or a career trajectory, and learning so much about all of these different vocations and
Mm.
all of these different ways that
Yeah.
people can live out their interests or maybe live out their skills and apply their interests in their personal life or in their volunteer life. And then in this counselor educator role, it's kind of taking this idea that I've learned so much, and the more I learn that I don't really know anything, and that's okay. Like, that
Mm,
doesn't scare me or unground me. It's kind of inspiring in some
yeah.
ways that um, there's there's core truths, and I think that's maybe what enables me to work through the murky or kind of be inspired by this,
Mm,
like, I don't know,
yeah.
but I'm excited to learn.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that
These
I,
themes of exploration and discovery are really key to being a lifelong learner, which I certainly know you to be. But even, I was thinking about some of our recent conversations about how our professional identity has shifted in many ways. And so going from, our unique disciplines, yours being in that career and vocation and mine being in a clinical setting, but now that we share this professional identity as counselor educators, bringing that experience that we've had, but there's still, in the training and development of future professional helpers, there's as much diversity, in this group of students each year that we're working with that I find that I'm growing and learning in those ways too, based on the passions of some of these students or the interests that they carry and are bringing into our program. So yeah, this discovery and exploration and really openness is what I'm hearing from you.
yeah, I think there is the transition from more of a concrete, if you will, helper,
Mm,
defined helper, and kind of transitioned into a educator, in that the same three people could teach the same course and the students could come away with the same bullet points of knowledge, and how they think through that and how that material is presented to them and how they integrate that is so different based off of
sure.
the experiences that instructor is bringing. And so I think I'm so happy that I had the experiences that I had prior to this role, because I see all the ways that they inform the way that I think about things.
Yeah.
And then this reciprocal learning that gets to happen in graduate school, like seeing how students' current or previous life roles are informing the way that they're thinking about a concept.
Oh yeah.
And
Yep.
that this is something you and I have talked about, that it's not a competition of like which is right and which is wrong.
Mm, mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's valuable to
Yeah.
consider multiple perspectives. Um,
Well, yeah, and I think that adds such richness to any discussion, any collaboration that happens, and I see that just over and over and over again. I mean, this semester in our ethics class, there's been some just wonderfully rich uh, collaborations between the students as they work through some complicated issues that can present in a clinical setting, and knowing that each of them is bringing their own lens that's informed by their lived experience, and some of that's their professional identity previous to coming into the program, some of it's who they are as a person, and so seeing that play out in these consultation groups has it's just been really interesting, and rich is just the word that I continue to come back to.
yeah, I think I've said this to friends and colleagues that it's such a privilege to be able to do something for a job, like get paid for something that you would want to do
Yeah.
anyways.
Mm,
And that's really the privilege that I feel, is that like I like reading journal articles. So teaching the research class isn't like wah wah for me. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. I nerd
Yeah.
out over that. I love
Yeah.
hearing what research interests students have, and sometimes I think they look to me to ask me about this like body of research, and all I can do is maintain my professional integrity and humility and confidence in myself and
Hmm.
say I have no idea. I
Yeah.
haven't read the literature on that. Like,
Yeah.
you read that and tell me what you learned, and then let's go from there.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation about it then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the professional identity is counselor, educator, and I think I am in a season of transition in some ways. In It's been maybe 4 years
I think
in
so.
this role.
Yeah.
And just thinking back on the different pieces, like grad school was 2 years, how much I learned, growed, changed,
Hmm.
struggled,
Hmm.
uh, integrated, became, I was still me, but became like this version of me. That was only 2 years. And then,
Hmm.
a doc program. And then, just kind of these different seasons of life. And then reflecting back, like, wow, I've been in this role for 4 years. And that was coming off of a pandemic
Hmm.
and coming
Hmm.
off of like a personal loss.
Yeah.
And so the again, this isn't my phrase. It's just something I say all the time because it helps me frame things for myself. Like,
Hmm.
you bring yourself with you wherever you go. So I was me through all of that. But looking back, it's, I don't know, pretty incredible.
Hmm.
Like, to start a new program with you, and
Yeah.
the people that I've been able to connect with and learn from, like in this trajectory, like it just has me excited for what's going to happen in the next 4 years,
Hmm.
and okay that I don't know what's going to happen in the next
Hmm.
4 years, but um, committed to the work that we're doing,
Yeah.
um, and hopeful that we're making a positive impact on other people.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I have so appreciated our work together over these years and really building something special, unique. And I know I see when I go out, whether I'm attending a conference or speaking someplace, and and I see our graduates, checking in with them, hearing about their professional work. I'm just so grateful that we get to do this, and I that was one of the driving motivations for me as a helper, is to think, um, by being able to do this program and do it with like-minded, solid Christian people, um, that the impact that would have on so many more people and communities than any one or two people could ever possibly impact. But it's this ripple effect that happens. And
Yes.
I just continue to see that playing out for our graduates and the amazing work that they're doing. um, so yeah, I feel inspired by that. That's a big part of what stokes my vitality for this
Yeah.
work, is seeing the amazing things that they're accomplishing, and the impact that they're having as they go out from our program.
Yeah. Absolutely. All the lives that they're touching and the impact that they're having all over the country.
Yeah, all over the country, for sure, for sure. Well, Karina, it's been awesome spending this time with you and checking in, hearing about your a little bit about your story as a professional helper. I think these big themes, the gift of time that we're able to give to others and give to ourselves, This is something that we need to be attentive to, bring intention and discernment to, as you've talked about today. Offering presence, being receptive to the presence of others, asking for help when we need to as well. Even though we're in that professional helper role, I think it becomes even more critical.
Yeah.
And then this last part, just when we want to maintain our vitality through change and transition in our life, those themes of exploration and discovery, and in many ways humility too, right? Approaching things with that mindset. I think these are some beautiful takeaways. So I appreciate you contributing once again to the WellMind community. It's been a real joy having you here, Karina.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening today and being a part of the WellMind community. It was a joy to have you here and share this episode with you. I hope that those themes of time and presence are things that stick with you as you go into the rest of your day and week, as you navigate relationships both personally and professionally, that you consider how you too can offer that gift of time and presence. I would also encourage you, as always, to remember to take care of yourself, be good to yourself, offer yourself that same time and presence that you offer to others. Now, please hit the subscribe button so that you get the new episodes right in your queue when they are released. If it so moves you, hit the like button as well and offer up a review. That helps spread the podcast on the different platforms that we're publishing out on. But honestly, word of mouth is still the best way. So if you have a friend or a colleague or a family member that you think would enjoy this conversation, please share that with them. Check out my other conversations as well with Karina. I have linked those in the show notes. They're great opportunities for some good listening as well. Now, next week, I have a conversation with Dr. Stevens. She is another full-time core faculty in our program and has some wonderful insights and stories that she shares during that conversation. So be sure to check out the second episode of Season 2. I'll release that next week. So until next time, take care of yourself and be well.